Future Florida State quarterback Logan Flaherty has been lighting it up.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Seminoles. I am your host, Brian Smith. We are going to be discussing Florida State's opportunity to do business with Progressive, putting their logo on the field at Doak Campbell Stadium later on in the show. We're also going to talk about a poll. Florida State's Mike Norvell, how many games does he need to win to keep his job? The fans have spoken. That is in the middle of the show. And to start, Logan Flaherty, the quarterback from Port Charlotte High School. I'm impressed. He has already begun his season with his high school team. We're going to discuss that at the beginning of the show. And today's show, speaking of which, is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Join all the action at FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a home run this Major League Baseball season. All right, Logan Flaherty is the quarterback for Florida State in the 2027 class. He plays at Port Charlotte. It's roughly 45 minutes north on I-75 from Fort Myers. Not exactly the A-plus football in the state of Florida. That's South Florida area, Tampa to Orlando, I-4 corridor. But at the same time, he's still playing Florida players. And he's a lot better than I even thought he was based on his junior film. And I want to go down just through the list. First, athletically, then we'll talk more mechanics and what he does in the moment. But above everything else, and I've got a full page of notes here that I'm looking at, he's faster than I thought. If you're going to operate a college offense, 80, 90% of them are pretty much the same. They want a quarterback that can make plays after the snap, meaning if this fails, go get us five at least. Maybe get us 10. It'd be nice if you could get us more than that. And the guys that can, those are the ones that end up in New York at the Heisman ceremony. At the end of the day, it's always about accuracy and post-snap reads. I'll talk about that a little later. But this kid can scoot. RPO, getting outside the pocket quickly, avoiding the edge rusher, and getting out to where he can throw it at any level he wants. He can throw on a line. He can throw with a little bit of touch or throw a moon ball. It doesn't matter. He gets outside the pocket quickly to make plays. So Logan Flaherty is a fit for the current college game. And to be honest, he fits Norvell's offense to a T. If you're not mobile in his offense, chances are you're not going to be very successful. He had 1 year. I forget the guy's first name, but his last name was White. He was the quarterback at Memphis before Norvell came to FSU. He threw for like 4,000 yards his last year, and he was not a runner. But everybody else he's been around has been a runner. This kind of player, though, that has some accuracy, and again, I'll get into that, creates so many dilemmas. And I just want to remind people with the speed he has, he's not afraid to run in the middle of the field too. He's got a little bit of size. He's got some wiggle. It changes how you call defensive plays. So all that athleticism and the size, it's a threat on every single down. And you cannot find a defensive coordinator that's going to tell you, yeah, I can't wait to face that this week. They want to play a player that they know where he's going to be and they can attack accordingly. You have no idea. RPO, design runs inside, outside, and he is very good at making plays with his feet when things don't go well. And that's what I want to hit next. No offense to Port Charlotte, but it's not a traditional program that puts out a lot of like, oh, I'm into the NFL kind of thing. The A-gap problems they had in the first couple of games were obvious. But when your quarterback has A-gap pressure and it still ends up on his highlight reel, that is a good sign. Very happy about it, but number one, he makes first guy miss. You got to do that. Secondarily, again, he's a very good runner, but he doesn't always just try to go out and make something happen willy-nilly. He'll keep his eyes down the field, like he'll sidestep a guy, get out of the way. Then the eyes go back up and he's looking. He'll pressure the front by going towards the line of scrimmage. He doesn't have to set his feet to make throws. We'll come back to that in a second too, but he throws the ball from any angle and makes it work. I know the popular term, he can throw off platform. I don't know if he's going to make all the off platform throws, but one of the best throws I've seen this year, and I've watched a bunch of high school film from the junior seasons, all these kids, and then some of this early season senior film for the class of 2027, as good a throw as I've seen this year came from Logan Flaherty in their last game. It would be the last one or first one. He's played two. He got flushed again. A gap pressure, steps around him, going towards the line of scrimmage, sees a guy, he's not open by much. It was pretty darn good coverage. Coming across the field on a deep over, he had to waft it. It's the hardest throw to make, even if you have no pressure. He's right-handed. Off his right foot, running, wrong leg, throws it just over the defensive back into the hands of the receiver. Now, again, it's a very risky throw. I'm not saying that it's not. That ball easily could have went the other way. But this is what I want to come back to. One of my all-time favorite quarterbacks to study at the NFL level was Phil Simms from the New York Giants, the 80s and 90s. Won a Super Bowl. He was around Parcells, Belichick, all those guys every day. He knows what it looks like. And he said one time when he was working with CBS, hey, yeah, it's great to say you need to use the same motion every time, all that. That's not realistic. You have to be able to throw accurate passes when the things aren't right. And from an aesthetic standpoint, it looked good, but technically it was completely wrong. But that's the only option he had. Had a guy behind him that he'd made miss coming back, had somebody in front of him getting ready to hit him. It's now or never. He either had to throw it away or try to make that guy miss and run. That's what most people would have done. But he said, no, I'm going to make the perfect pass here. I trust in myself. If you're going to make it to the elite level, you got to be able to make some of those throws without hesitation. If he waits just a little longer, the ball goes the other way. Just a little bit of loft, gets it over the DB who missed it by about an inch, and his receiver catches the ball. It's like a 15-yard game. Those are the kinds of plays that change football games. Florida State's had a lot of quarterbacks that can do that, and I'm not saying he's the same player. It was a Charlie Ward-like play. He won the Heisman in 1993, and Ward used to frustrate pass rushers all the time with that kind of stuff. That's why he ended up being such a great NBA point guard, too. He just made the first guy miss as an NBA point guard, too. But anyway, really, really high on him with his ability to make somebody miss, because anytime there's A-gap pressure, man, that sucks. There's no play where you want that to happen. Zero. Over and over again, either he was able to get it off or he took off and made yardage. And again, good speed, but he makes guys miss, and he's got some physicality. But I will add one thing here. I just put in 2 words, and I put it really big letters on my sheet. Get down. There was a play he got near the end zone on a run, made some guys miss, and he got stoned at the end. Absolutely got just crushed. Give up the yardage. You're a quarterback. You have to get down. This is something that it just amazes me, because everybody says that, and kids still try to inch out an extra yard. If you're the quarterback, that's not your job. It's not your job. The team they were going against wasn't very good, and he got blasted. That just can't happen at the major college level, because if the quarterback goes out, we all know what usually happens to the team's record moving forward. Get down. The only other thing that I will say, sometimes when he sees a pre-snap read and he knows he's got the matchup he wants, that's fine. He's dead set on it. There was a play where he was going to throw left, and he did. From the outset of getting the football in his hands, he's in the shotgun. He stared at the guy on the left, never moved his head, and threw it. Okay, this is high school football in Southwest Florida. It's just okay football. You do that at Florida State in practice or in a game, even against New Mexico State, ball's going the other direction. You must manipulate the safeties. And this is a kid that's been around trainers. He's been around some events. I was a little surprised by that. That doesn't change it. Then it's not going to matter. He's not going to be the quarterback of Florida State at some point. That'll be one of the first things, and this is always common, that FSU has to work out of Flaherty. We don't care if you know 100% where you're going. If it's a true route, not just a smoke or a screen, you can't just stare at a guy and then throw it. You could even have a DB that's not attached to that receiver jump the route, and it's bye-bye. It's pick 6. So I want to give a little criticism too, but nonetheless. Here's the other thing that I liked about him, and I'll wrap it up on this as far as Logan Flaherty. Then we'll get into the Noles fans speak about Norvell after the break. He's a guy that when he runs, it can be effective. Absolutely. He can make plays, make guys miss and all that. But when he penetrates that little area, I call it about the 2-yard area. If you're outside the pocket and you're within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage, that flat defender, the hook curl guy, whatever, they're in a bad spot. Do they come up? He's a mobile guy. It's not going to take very long for a DB to realize, just watching him warm up, first few plays, we got somebody here today that's going to cause some issues. You're in no man's land. But he doesn't do anything consistent there, meaning You have no idea when he's just about to go across the line of scrimmage. Is he going to run or is Flaherty going to pass? Those guys end up with a lot of big plays, and they can end up being generic because you beat the DB. Okay, I'm going to come up, and you sucker him in. You think that he's going to tuck it and go. Then at the very last second, just a lob, generic. There's no effort in it. Hell, it can be an H-back. If there's nobody out there, unless the turf monster gets him, those are 20, 30, and 40-yard plays. He has that ability. He's very savvy on when to release it. And if a guy's wide open, he'll just, let it rip. But he'll pressure that person out in the flat. That is not a fun place to be because if the quarterback is savvy like that, it can be really, really big plays. So big fan of what I've seen so far of Florida State's 2027 quarterback recruit, Logan Flaherty. He's got some things to work on, but the tools are there to be an FBS Power 4 starter. I don't know how to grade him exactly. Again, the film's not great in terms of the competition, but if you're going against competition that you're better, you need to smoke it, and he is. I think this is a really good pickup, and give credit to Florida State for getting him. They were trailing forever, and I was on them about it, like, you cannot lose recruits to rectors. But they did get him, and there's an upside here. So good for Flaherty, good for Florida State. This is going to be a good football player down the road for the Noles. Next up, we're going to talk about Norvell. The fans have spoken. They've given their thoughts in regards to how many games he has to win. We'll talk about that next, right here on Locked On Seminoles. Support for today's show comes from Indeed Sponsored Jobs. When workplace chaos hits and you need the right hire, Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps connect employers with candidates who match specific needs like skills, certifications, and location. So less time gets spent searching and more time gets spent finding the right fit. People are finding quality hires on Indeed right now. In the minute that I'll be speaking with you, companies like yours will make 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're looking for a very specific fit, Indeed will work with you. Doesn't matter if it's an engineer, a sales rep, or whatever it might be, whether it's location or anything else you need, Indeed will find that opportunity and make it work. Less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, time, and results will come your way when you need the right person to cut through the chaos. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs, and you can get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast. Support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On Seminoles. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Brought to you by our friends over at Poncho. If you're like me and you basically live in your game day gear during the football season, you're going to want to check out Poncho's new game day collection. It's one of those things where it's a performance shirt, but it doesn't really look like a performance shirt. It's just clean, sharp polo. That's something you'd actually want to wear all day. I've done it several times. Go out to eat, go to the grocery store, whatever it is you want to do, and you look good doing it. And it's not the hot, bothersome shirt. And I hate the fact that I got to say this. A lot of the collared shirts I have, I just don't like wearing them. They look good, but they're not comfortable. They're not lightweight. They're not breathable. And quite frankly, they just annoy me. I sure would not wear them tailgating. And that's something I could do in this shirt that I have on right here. And that's the bottom line. So if you want to have some fun and you want to wear your game day gear, no problem. Plus you can get it regular, slim, tall, whatever you want. It's up to you. Now, the best part about it, I can wear this wherever I go and kind of fit in. It just looks like a normal shirt just walking down the street. It's got the logo and stuff on it here for Florida State, and on the side it's got FSU. So it's got a little bit of detail, but it's not overwhelming either. You can blend in no matter where you go. Go to ponchooutdoors.com/locked on and enter your email. Get $10 off and free shipping. That's PONCHO outdoors.com/locked on. $10 off and free shipping. Once you're there, you know why you are going to get a good deal. All right, let's talk about the fans and what they think in regards to Mike Norvell and his opportunities this year. How many wins do the Noles need to get to for Norvell to be, at minimum, off the hot seat? I just asked a basic poll question on the Locked On Seminoles X handle. I didn't really know what I would get, but I put up the options for 5 wins, 6 wins, 7 wins, or 8 wins. Went pretty low just to see where it was at. And again, I really didn't know what I was going to grab from this answer, because anything is possible with fans when you get into these kinds of circumstances. So here is the result that I got. 5 wins, 1.6% of the people said he has to win 5 to keep his job. For 6 wins, 3.2%. 7 wins, 19%. And the winner, with 8 being the total, 76.2%. Now, obviously, that is overwhelming. So here's my next question. And I want to add on to this for this segment, and you can take it any way that you want to go. Is this what the administration thinks as compared to the fans? And again, I just used 5, 6, 7, and 8. I could have used 6 through 9. If it was, I have a feeling that if I put up 6, 7, 8, and 9, 9 would have been the highest. Like, to be honest, that 9 is my number, but I'm pretty specific. So I was a little lenient. Where do you stand and why? Please comment down below. But is this just a win total? Probably not. I get it. The aesthetics are important. How do the wins look? How do the losses look? Do you beat any of your rival? There's a lot of little things we'll get into here in just a sec. But number one, the win total is where you got to start. I understand Michael Alford completely avoiding this answer, much as I hate it, when he was interviewed recently. That's fair. Yeah, he's in a no-win territory because aesthetics do matter. With that, what number is the point of no return? Like, even if the aesthetics look good, let's say Florida State beats SMU, just for the sake of argument. And they're kind of going along, and it's iffy if he's going to be able to keep himself the head coach into 27, and then they lose at Boston College for whatever reason, that is aesthetically not pleasing. I think that eliminates the SMU win. So which games you win, how it looks like. If you lose to SMU, that's one thing. You lose to Boston College, it wasn't aesthetically pleasing because that's a bad football program. So I think that is something to look at, and I'm hoping that we'll have clarity, because the one thing that I don't want, you look at those numbers, 6 and 7 combined for 22.2%. My fear is that Florida State lands at 6 or 7 wins in that middle ground. It's not my words, but many people in the media, including the one at least that I remember and I've seen recently, bring this up. The person in the media that I saw recently talk about the administration's thirst to get rid of Norvell was Chris Nee over at Noles 24/7. He made it very clear during the On the Bench podcast a couple weeks ago. Hey, just so y'all know, they really do not want to part ways with him, meaning, okay, we don't want to spend this money. I get it. If I remember right, it's $46.9 million that Norvell would be owed. That's a lot of moolah. That is not a good opportunity. But that's where you're at. So we'll see what happens with that. I just wanted to bring it up and kind of put this into perspective. I think 9 should be the number. But out of the ones that I put up there, fans think it's 76.2%. So here's the last question on this, and then we'll move on to the progressive sponsorship. This is a really important one. Will a good deal, not all, but a good deal of Florida State fans more or less boycott, meaning their wallets, if Norvell wins 6 or maybe even 7 games and they keep him as the head coach? In other words, will donations finally just, we're done? Will you see empty seats in Doak and all that stuff, even at the beginning of next season in 27? I don't know on this. This is unprecedented territory. I don't have an opinion on it. I don't know what Florida State fans will do. And everybody's different. I get that. But at some point, fans expect something that right now may not be possible. And it's a really bad spot for the administration to be in. I'm not saying that they're still not culpable, but you get my point. Where does that fall? We're going to talk about that more, I'm sure, as the season goes on. But I wanted to bring that up. And thank you for taking the moment to understand that this is very broad, and this is just one poll. It was 100 and some people that voted. I get it, but at the same time, it's not much fun for me or anybody else, but it's something that we have to talk about. The fans are the ones that basically pay for the program, the alumni, the boosters, and all that. So it's got to be put into perspective. When we come back, we're going to discuss progressive. They signed a deal with Florida State, put some more money in their pocket. That is next, right here on Locked on Seminoles. Baseball fans, if you think you know who's hitting a home run today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with daily dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick for who you think is going to hit a home run in their next game. If you are correct, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every day all the way through the Major League Baseball season. Daily Dingers is another way to stay engaged with every game. Even if your team is not playing, every game has got somebody capable of going deep. Now you get a chance to make your prediction before the first pitch each and every day. Here's my piece of advice if you want to go with this and find a way to add some extra profit boost. Just look at the teams that are at the bottom, the cellar dwellers. They're bringing up players and pitchers, saving some of their guys for next year because they don't have a chance at the playoffs. Those teams are probably going to trot out some pitchers that are going to give up some home runs. Whoever it is, just look at the bottom of the division standings. That's your pick. So are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick who's hitting a home run. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball. All right, let's discuss one last point today, and it's one that is very important because it is a financial opportunity for the Florida State Seminoles. Progressive has made a deal with the Noles. It's very simple. They're going to put their logo on Doak Campbell Stadium, and it's in conjunction, by the way, with the University of Miami. They're celebrating that series, which I think is great. University of Miami is going to do the same, and it's going to give Florida State more money. Now, I want to take this from a couple of different perspectives. A, they did not, to my knowledge, and I've looked, I've even made a phone call, there are no, at least yet, financial terms disclosed. I'm going to come back to that. Remember that. Again, the financial terms are not yet disclosed. I don't know if that's for any reason, but I'm going to come back to that. Number two, how do you feel about this in general? It seems like everybody's finding a way to use naming rights. It's been going on 30, 40 years. It's a big part of our society. Nobody likes it, but people do like millions of dollars. And here's the key. I wrote this down, but I don't even need the notes for this one. Every time a school like Florida State makes a financial deal, there's a chance that part of that revenue, maybe even all of it, goes towards NIL. There is no secret that Florida State is not in the quote-unquote top of the board tier on NIL spending. They don't have as much money as Oregon, as Ohio State, as Miami, etc. That's a problem. This is how you get back in the game and at least improve it. So that I like. But again, just in general, does it bother you? Now, I'm not asking if you understand. Does it bother you that these sponsors are going to be directly on the field at Doak? Yay or nay? Number two, in regards to this, is how big is it and all that? I don't know if anybody's going to ask how is it on both ends and all. I have no idea. So in conjunction with it, that's something I want to know as well. I'm sure those points will be made at a later date. But the game's in a couple of days, so I guess really not that big a deal. We'll find out on Saturday. The other part, and this is important as well, you got to keep up with other schools that do things that improve their NIL, etc. The basketball program has a deal, but it's not the football program as it relates to jerseys. I've been asked, and I've spoken with people, hey, is Florida State, do they have a deal? Not to my knowledge. Do they have one they're going to announce? Maybe. I don't know. But this is a very tough spot for them because the advertisers have got all the leverage, especially in the case of Florida State. And let me explain why. As I noted a moment ago, the NIL is not a good spot for Florida State right now as compared, again, to a very specific tier, and it's the one Florida State wants to be in, and that's tier one programs. They're not a tier one program right now, financially. They're not. Name recognition they are, but not on the ability to spend NIL across the board, basically willy-nilly, and just do whatever the hell they want. They're not. These different companies, and I don't even know how many Florida State's negotiating with, to maybe do a jersey patch or whatever, they're cognizant of that. And they also know that Florida State's not going to grab the same amount of attention as, say, like if Exxon wanted to do a deal with the Texas A&M Aggies or the Texas Longhorns or something like that. That's different. I would imagine a company like that would probably want to do something more broad, maybe the league, but maybe the Texas schools, whatever it may be. It's more difficult. Location's a part of it, recent success is a very big part of it. Obviously not Florida State's advantage. And finally, just what kind of eyeballs do you get? That part Florida State does pretty well. Even though they've been down, it's still one of the most watched college football programs in the country. If Florida State does not get a deal for the patch for this season, I get it. But that's something they got to do. And I don't like it at all. I'm honest. I hate them for all teams. Ohio State, Notre Dame's done it, etc. It still looks goofy to me. It's Premier League-like, soccer-like. But as soon as one team does it, you pretty much have to, because that's free money for them to spend on NIL. It's coming, whether you like it or not. And I do not, but I'm not the one that gets to decide that, and I understand why. So for those that don't know, the Ohio State Notre Dame deals, this is Jersey. It's different than the field. We're in like the $15 to $20 million range a year. It's insane. Outside of a few of the Texas schools, maybe Oklahoma, that have some options with the oil industry, I doubt many people get deals similar to that. Maybe Oregon does, but keep in mind, now Phil Knight is an Oregon grad. He is the founder and owner of Nike. Kind of an advantage there. There aren't going to be many teams that sniff where Ohio State or Notre Dame are. And that brings me back to the point I brought up earlier and said I'd come back to. Is one of the reasons that Florida State and Miami, for that matter, have not announced it is the deal is not what they think would be good enough for fans not to complain. I don't know. But here's the key. Florida State is a public university. Miami obviously is not. It is private, but there can be an opportunity for somebody to dig into that, and legally they have to give up the information. They can go in, and because it's publicly taxed and all that, Florida State, whatever the number is, it's going to be eventually available. Since we didn't see it in any article, at least I haven't, maybe it came out after I did this pod, maybe, possibly somebody will dig into that and talk about it in the next 24 hours. But I wonder if Florida State doesn't want the media to talk about it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a really good number and it's not in there. I don't know. Maybe Miami, because they're private, they didn't want it, and Florida State said, that's fine. We just won't talk about it either. There are a lot of possibilities. But usually when you get a big deal, Progressive is a major company to do business with. That's one of the biggest insurers in the country. If you get that deal, I would think one of the first, at minimum, first 3 paragraphs there'd be money discussed. It's not in the article anywhere. Whether it's the Florida State Athletic Department's written statement, whether it's an article by Noles 24/7 or anywhere else, it's all over the place. There's nothing mentioned. So that just puts it in perspective. There are a lot of different possibilities, and I'm very, very curious to see what that number is, because that also gives you an idea of what their value might be, at least in some ways, for the jersey pack. It's coming, whether it's this year or next year, they're going to get one with somebody. Maybe it's Progressive. I don't know. But your cachet, what you are valued at, is part of that. So I know Florida State's athletic department, presidents and everything, they're all a little itchy when it comes to dealing with all the people punching and tugging at them. I get it, but it's not going to go away. Somebody's going to post that. I'm curious what Florida State's reaction will be, no matter if it's a good number or not. But they've been very sensitive of late. So we'll see. Anyway, thank you very much for checking out Locked on Seminoles on a Thursday. We'll see you again tomorrow. Please like and subscribe if you have not already, and we will see you tomorrow.